You're alive. Donatello. Oh shit. There we go. Screen capture. Yo. Yo. Audio input capture. So, okay, display capture. So if I would go,
Slipknot is not the first band to wear a costume or elaborate face paint, but after over 20 years, their masks are an essential part of the band. The disturbing masks represent their intense music and explicit lyrics, and offer a view of the darker side of each musician's personality. Before the formation of Slipknot, two of the founding members of the band, Anders Kolsefni and Sean Cran, became friends in the early 90s. The duo met at gigs from the same metal scene in Des Moines, Iowa. However, the two also got along well because they played a role-playing game called Werewolf: The Apocalypse, which was more violent and less popular than the well-known RPG Dungeons & Dragons. Unlike D&D, the Werewolf franchise focuses on a horror theme, with main characters being werewolves and vampires. For both musicians, a major appeal of the game was that it was possible to become something else. In the book, Slipknot: All Hope Is Gone by Joel McIver, Kolsefni says, "The attraction was being able to play a different person, to be able to do something different. This was the founding of Slipknot. That was it. Right there." After the band was created, this mentality was carried over into their first gig on December 4th, 1995. Kolsefni says that from the very beginning, Slipknot performances have generated what he says is a primal feeling. "I'm transformed into an animal, and that's the reason we wear what we do on stage." In January 1996, Sean Cran was rummaging through boxes of his stuff in the basement when he came across an old clown mask of his that he had not seen in 10 years. The percussionist then decided to wear the old clown mask during a practice session with the band, and that changed everything. The drummer enjoyed wearing the clown mask so much that he wanted to keep wearing it regardless of what the others wanted, even during shows. Cran recalls that there was some pushback from his bandmates. He said, "A few of them were like, 'No way. You can't be the only guy wearing some stupid mask.' So I said, 'I really don't care what you think. This is who I am, and this is what I'm going to do.' So here we are, all these years later." After Cran and Anders Kolsefni wore masks for a few performances, the rest of the band eventually gave in and agreed to do the same. Corey Taylor explained, "We started from day one knowing we had to evolve, knowing that we had to stay relevant, and one of the things we knew we had to do was find ways to look like a unit and do it in a way that didn't feel forced." Masks became such a part of Slipknot's identity that the fans never saw the musicians' faces. Photographer Paul Harries took numerous pictures of the band and was frequently asked by fans if he had ever seen their faces, and even asked if the members actually had real faces. Eventually, as the band grew in popularity, some of the members became much more lax with showing their faces, especially Corey Taylor and Sean Cran. As his side project, Stone Sour, became more well-known, not only was Taylor's face seen more often, but also Slipknot guitarist Jim Roots. The quieter members of Slipknot have remained more elusive than the rest, like Craig Jones and Chris Fenn, but pictures of their faces can also easily be found on the internet these days. Corey Taylor is one of the Slipknot band members who changes masks more than the others, and he does so because he believes it reflects how people change over time. According to Kerrang! Radio, the singer says, "People like me, Clown, Sid Wilson, and a couple of others, we change ours drastically. Nobody stays the same over time. That's my belief." In the early days, Taylor wore a bondage mask, but had issues because of his dreadlocks, which he threaded through holes cut in the mask. After a year of this, the singer did not like what was happening to his hair, so he severed his dreads and attached them to the mask, creating his signature look for both the band's self-titled and Iowa albums. By the All Hope Is Gone album cycle in 2008, Taylor released an entirely new, almost featureless face mask, arguably more eerie for its blank expression. The singer's last two masks have also been quite unique, with almost no connection to his previous masks.
I love the fact that every mask was different because it represented a different person. It wasn't all linear and just kind of thrown together.
Like Corey Taylor, the masks of Sean Cran have changed a lot over the years. However, they've all been variations of the clown theme that he's had from the beginning. The clown persona has become such a part of Cran's identity that his nickname is Clown, and even though he doesn't wear the original mask during shows anymore, the drummer still has and cherishes the mask that started it all. Cran was initially drawn to the mask at a Halloween store many years earlier while walking in the mall with his girlfriend. He was supposed to buy lunch, but instead, he spent all of his money on the clown mask. In an interview with the BBC, Cran said, "I had gotten a version of this mask when I was 14. I just never knew why it was in my world, but it was always around me." He continued,
And then one day, it just so happened, it was that moment of clarity to decide what I wanted to project.
He went on to say of his mask, "This thing has no limits." When it came time for the intimidating guitarist to choose, Mick Thompson initially went for the look of the iconic hulking mass murderer Jason Voorhees from the classic horror franchise Friday the 13th. This meant that he easily found a hockey mask at the store, but it involved very little imagination. So, after wearing the hockey mask for the cover of their first album in 1999, he exchanged it for a black leather mask that shortly after had his own metallic design. Thompson's masks have all been based on his original hockey mask idea, albeit with some major tweaks to incorporate his own style. The guitarist's masks have evolved, but for over a decade, the changes have been minor, so his signature look has remained
Yo, yo,
relatively the same
yo,
during
yo,
the last
yo,
few
yo,
albums.
yo, yo.
The grill over the mouth is something he stuck with and made his own, yet it's also the way his new masks are linked to the original. As one of the band members who has modified his mask the least, Thompson summed up his feelings on the matter when he said, "If you know who you are..."
Yo, 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 yo.
I think I pretty much nailed it with this one, for being able to get across how I am. Originally, like all new Slipknot members, Jim Root did not choose a mask and instead was given the black bondage mask of the member he replaced.
Okay,
The inherited mask was simply too difficult to play in, and Root wanted a mask of his own, so he discarded the hand-me-down
maybe if
almost
I keep
immediately.
that
To
muted.
represent his mischievous character, the guitarist now usually wears a type of jester mask.
I keep
The
that.
group also
keep
had
it-
a role in the decision because Root
Yeah,
said in a
okay.
radio
Keep it
interview,
muted.
the guys chose this mask to take.
Yo,
I
yo,
was a timid guy
Shirley,
before I
Monaco,
joined
yo,
this
yo,
band.
yo.
Now, I'm a freak. Like Mick Thompson, Root's masks have remained very similar to the mask he wore during the release of the album Iowa back in 2001. Both musicians seem to firmly believe that there is no reason to fix something that isn't broken. Craig Jones's first mask was basically just underwear over his face until he got more creative for the release of Slipknot's first album. Now Jones is known for his mask with nails taped to
Okay,
similar to
now I
Hellraiser's
have it turned
Pinhead.
down
The Samurai
halfway.
initially stuck the
Turn
nails
down
to an old
halfway.
helmet and
Yo,
added
yo,
a
yo.
flashlight as
Turn
well.
down
However, he
halfway.
switched it up to a
Yo,
spiked
yo,
leather
yo.
mask for the release of Iowa. Since Jones is notorious for his silence during interviews, he also put a zipper on his mouth slit that
I
he
have
could
it turned
slowly
down
zip
halfway
shut
again.
with glee
Yo,
when
yo,
asked to
yo.
speak.
Again.
From
Turned
then on,
down
Jones's
halfway. Yo,
bondage
yo,
Pinhead
yo.
has become his own.
I
And
can't
the
believe,
only real change
what's
is that
going
the
on. Yo,
nails
yo,
have gotten
yo.
longer.
Testing. I'm testing.
The
I'm
masks of
testing.
Sid Wilson have changed more than the masks of any of his other bandmates. Over the years, the DJ went from a standard gas mask for Slipknot's first album to a skull-shaped gas mask for Iowa, then a stylized skull for Volume 3, The Subliminal Verses, and a robotic mask for All Hope Is Gone in 2008. Wilson made sure that it was somewhat functional and included adjustable eyebrows to display his desired expressions, and fully leaned into the Transformers look in 2012.
I hear an
Before recently,
echo.
for the last
I
two
hear an
album cycles
echo.
in 2014 and 2019,
What should
Wilson
I
has worn a
do
hood with
about
creepy
the
teeth,
echo?
forced
Echo.
metallic eyes, and with
What
the
should
most
I
recent
do?
mask looking more like he's wearing the skin of
Pure
human than
Leaf,
any previous
Monaco,
mask.
Mouse,
Chris Fenn is
Vape.
notorious for wearing a long Pinocchio
Yo!
nose on his mask that
Yo!
reflects his comedic personality. It is common to see the drummer rub the nose in a vulgar manner during performances. When discussing his first mask, Fenn noted of the mask's zipper, "I chose it for the bondage factor." For the Volume 3, the Subliminal Verses era, the drummer's mask had the fascinating characteristic of often changing colors. The mask first looked like it had started to rust and then eventually became all red. Fenn's masks changed very little with only minor alterations. Sometimes he wore a
Trying
hood
to
on the back
fix
of
my
his head, while he
echo.
did
I'm
not
trying to
for
fix
other
my
cycles.
echo.
Fenn used the same mask for Slipknot's self-titled debut album and Iowa, and the drummer noted how bad of an idea that was due to how bad the mask ended up smelling. Early on, bassist
Yo,
Gray wore a
trying to fix
Halloween
it.
pig mask,
Yo!
which he said was a reflection on his character flaw of self-indulgence. However, a rival band, Mushroomhead,
Yo, trying to fix the echo. Pure Leaf, Monaco. Pure Leaf, Monaco.
For Iowa still retained a vaguely pig-like look. The black mask he wore in the Volume 3, the Subliminal Verses cycle, lost that trait, and instead had a Hannibal Lecter-looking design with nails that made a grill over the mouth. Before Gray tragically passed away in 2010, the bassist featured two different masks for a couple of years during the All Hope Is Gone era. Both retained the Hannibal Lecter style of the previous mask, but one had a
What about now? What about now? Is the echo still there? What about now? What about Smartwater, 44 North, Pure Leaf, Monaco, Echoes?
Jordison kept this style for his masks throughout his years with the band, only with slight alterations. The drummer's last mask for the All Hope Is Gone cycle was the most creative, appearing like a demonic Christ with a crown of thorns and stitches across the face. Even though the blank expression of the kabuki masks frightened him the most as a kid, it became one of his favorite features as an adult. As Jordison noted, "You feel however you want to feel, scary, evil, or perverted, all those things held in one mask."
Yo, yo, yo. Yo, 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 yo. Yo. Yo, 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 yo. Yo, 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 yo. Yo, 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 yo. Yo, 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 yo. Am I still echoing? Yo, 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 yo. Am I still echoing?
But like other members, the drummer
If
had
not,
issues
this should
playing in the
sound
masks,
good.
saying it's very difficult to play in the masks sometimes. You feel like you're locked.
Does it sound good?
Sadly, Jordison passed away in July 2021. After Paul Gray's tragic death and Joey Jordison's emotional exit from Slipknot,
Oh, wait.
bassist Alessandro
I
Venturella
forgot.
and drummer Jay
I
Weinberg
forgot.
replaced them in the band.
Audio is a hard
Out of
thing for me to
respect
deal
the former
with.
members, the masks
I
they were
forgot,
given were less creative
but
than those of
if the
band
volume is
members.
good with the
Both
video,
masks appeared as corpse-like
ugh,
faces
sorry, I
with
just
a
burped.
pentagram on the forehead. After
And
Chris
volume's
Fenn's
good
departure
with
from Slipknot in 2019, he was quickly replaced by a
my
drummer who was
voice
believed to be
with a
Michael
plus,
Pfaff of
hardcore
Sean Cran's
plus.
side project, Dirty Little Rabbits, says Alternative Press. Yet, the band attempted to keep his identity secret, so he was simply known as Tortilla Man, due to the look of the basic mask he was provided with. Similar to the masks of Venturella and Weinberg, it has a zipper mouth and looks like decaying
Does
skin
my voice sound
and
better with the mic
resembles a
closed? Because I
tortilla.
think it would.
In the most recent
I'm
round of
hella excited to
Slipknot
get this
masks,
working right now.
Alessandro Venturella and Jay Weinberg have been allowed to wear masks that are
Yeah,
entirely their own.
Slipknot.
This is especially beneficial for the new bassist, whose mask plays tribute to Paul Gray's with a pig look, but also incorporates his own samurai design. On the other hand, Corey Taylor's mask ended up being a huge letdown after all the hype leading up to its release. Renowned makeup artist and special effects master Tom Savini helped design and create the mask, so there was a lot of built-up excitement and expectations for greatness. Instead, the high hopes were quickly dashed once the mask was revealed. With many posters on
Right now, I'm
Reddit
trying
and
to figure
other
out
platforms
where the
waiting
volume
for
should be with
engagement for
YouTube,
comically large
because I'm
sheets
trying
and
to do some
chipmunk
YouTube
look.
videos, some YouTube
Check out one of our newest
reactions.
videos right here.
I'd like to
Even
know
more crunch
where
videos about your favorite stuff are
the
coming
volume
soon.
sits with
Subscribe
YouTube,
to our YouTube channel and
because it
hit
seems a
the bell
little
so you
loud in
don't
my
miss a
videos,
single one.
and I want to know what is going on.
Slipknot's history is full of dark turns, and almost everyone in the group has a tragic tale to tell. Let's take a look at the many awful incidents that have shocked a band that's usually more accustomed to doing the shocking themselves. This is the tragic
Thinking
real-life
about
story
halfway,
of Slipknot. Many
little
members
under
of Slipknot
halfway
have
might
had
be
rough
good.
patches in their lives, but few started as
It might
early
be
as vocalist
good.
Corey Taylor. According to Blabbermouth, Taylor spent part of his teenage years living in a
I
trailer
want to
park
know
near Waterloo,
what's going
Iowa,
on if I
where,
can hear the
according
video
to
and my
Taylor,
voice
the
at the same
activities were
time.
somewhat limited.
I'm able to pause it and still talk. Is that cool? Yes.
The singer reportedly described
wanna
the place by
hear
saying,
What
at
the
a place
video's
like that,
saying
there's only
again.
two things to
We're
do, really.
good.
You take
Yes,
drugs
no.
and you... As a result, the young Taylor developed a dangerous taste for narcotics. As a teenager, Taylor reportedly said he once woke up in a trash can 12 miles from his home, with no shirt, no shoes, and blood on his face. While his memory of the events was spotty, he figured he must have been at a party and overdosed, and instead of
I'm hoping right here is a good
taken to
spot.
the hospital, his friends
I'm
merely
really
found
hoping
him
it's a
in
good
trash can somewhere under
here.
the assumption that he was dead.
I'm hoping it's a good
Terrifying
spot.
as the experience must have been, this particular dark
Volume-wise,
cloud ultimately had a silver lining.
audio
During
is
his
such an
long walk
issue.
back home,
It
young
is
Taylor
such an
decided that
issue.
he had to get out of that place. Suffice to say, he followed through. Slipknot's
I
2001
want the
sophomore
video
album Iowa is
to
as brutal as
be
they come.
heard,
According to Revolver,
but
at
also
least
my
part of the
voice.
album's sound may
So
very
we'll
well
see
stem
what
from the fact
happens
that its
with that
recording
in
was an
just
absolute
1
horror show.
second.
The band was in a rather dark place thanks to the sudden and unexpected fame their first album had brought them, and the copious amounts of sex and drugs that tend to come with rock stardom had hollowed them out and left them depressed. Producer Ross Robinson broke his back during the recording and was confined to a wheelchair. Singer Corey Taylor had personal issues and a drinking problem, and reportedly resorted to cutting himself with broken glass during recordings just so he...
Hey, we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games released.
Alright, so we'll start with Saints Row.
Saints Row. Now, this is a reboot.
It's a game I've never played.
We've been playing a review copy on
My younger
PC.
brothers have
Just
always
know
played this
footage
game.
is spoiler free, if you care. Now,
They like the
let's
old
get into it
ones.
and not min-
Before we get too far, Before You Buy, game ranks, bro, they kill it. I literally watch a video on this shit every time before I buy a game. I love it.
Words. I'm
They get
disappointed with
good
it.
information. They're not
Don't
too
think it's the
biased.
outright disaster some are saying, but it doesn't really matter. The
I'm
bottom
interested
line is that
because
I
I haven't played
didn't
really
have
Saints
much fun
Row, and I
playing
kind
this
of
game.
miss
You might still pick it up, you might
GTA. I
enjoy
want a
it.
new
You do
GTA
you. This is
so
not
bad.
dunking on anyone,
That would
but
be
for
sick.
me, despite a
And
cool
this
new
is
world
a
and some good hijinks here and there,
weird
I
mix
found this new
between
Saints Row to be
GTA and arcadey kind of thing, I feel like. So let's check out this video.
messy and devoid of any of the charm or soul of the previous games. Now, just some context, just so you know where I'm coming from, I've played all of these games, and I love them all, pretty much. The original was a game I kind of convinced my young self was awesome. 2 was great. 3 was great. 4 was great. Gat Out of Hell was pretty cool. I just didn't like that spin-off game, Agents of Mayhem, that much. Still, the series has changed and gotten goofier and weirder, and I never cared about its morphing identity. I was always having fun, so whatever. Everyone has a different take on this series. That's just mine, and I just wanted to put it out there so you know where I'm coming from. I was totally open to a new Saints Row. I didn't really care. But this actually feels like a step back and an identity crisis, both from fun factor and personality factor. It feels aged, you know, like a regular old open world crime game, but it doesn't give any nostalgic feelings. It goes zany at times, but never in a way that was compelling or unique. It simply just is. One thing that is good that stuck around is a high level of customization. You know, make any type of person you want, all kinds of sliders and options, different voices. You can make a really cool person or a ridiculous dummy. And the game world is filled with places to like pull over and buy all types of weird clothes and accessories. You're also customizing your cars nicely. You're customizing weapons kinda, and you're customizing your other group members. You know, Saints Row stuff. It's good that that's there. Sticking with a lot of the positives first, I guess, the world itself is pretty cool. Santo Ileso is a pretty varied and fun sandbox, you know? Random things happen. Car accidents pop off, pedestrians shoot off fireworks. There's always stuff to find, and each district offers some different stuff. There's dense residential areas with low buildings. There's wide open plains and desert to cruise through, city areas with much more verticality, but it's all designed with like a fresh creativity to it, you know? Buildings and landmarks all feel pretty cool, and I just like driving and flying around checking the place out. It's a sun-drenched, new-feeling location. It's not just like shiny California or grim-dark city. Maybe because I'm fresh off Better Call Saul and rewatching Breaking Bad, I just like having this like southwestern crime place to mess around in. But diving more onto the negative side, your character has 3 roommates, and you guys decide to really build a gang empire and take over the town because you're tired of being broke. Each of your friends has their unique quirk, you know, the muscle guy, the brains, the driver, each with their own unique backgrounds, which is nice, but the game really leans on this group dynamic, and unfortunately, this roommate to gang group thing did not really work for me at all. The best I can compare it to is some of the group stuff in Watch Dogs 2. You know, not the worst ever there, but it had plenty of cringe-inducing bits. Saints Row is basically all of the bad parts of that. I don't mind keeping things nice and loose and dumb and even self-aware, but everything for me here pales in comparison to anything the Saints Row series is known for. You know, from voice actor jokes to weird pop culture references. You know, the Saints Row stuff was always an acquired taste, but hey, it swung for the fences. Saints Row 2022 feels far more standard and churned out by a laboratory with just bad jokes, and I found most of the characters grating or just forgettable, save for a few, you know? Weird tone, a few story beats you can see coming from a mile away, and just so many jokes that just did not land for me. Again, humor is subjective, you might feel differently, but I'm just putting it out there. Now, where the comedy does at least work for me is in some of the side hustles and criminal ventures, you know, the stuff to keep busy in this open world and slowly build your money and your influence and your power. You know, you're stealing specific cars, you're leaving bad Yelp reviews for places, and then fighting the bad guys that show up. That was dumb enough for me. You're doing the insurance fraud stuff. There are high-level bounty targets you can take down. That stuff is fun on paper. You know, the bigger ones, the criminal ventures specifically, are more focused on, you know, getting some down to progress to the next story mission. There's some fun to be had here, but it varies. Some of it is mindless fun, but after a few hours, most of it got old, and a lot of it is just repetitive and uninspired. My biggest disappointment with the game, though, other than like that lack of charm or soul there, is that I just didn't find it very fun to play. the most important thing. You know, the core elements are third-person shooting and driving. That's what you're predominantly doing most of the game, and I just didn't really enjoy it. The third-person shooting is extremely bare bones. You can crouch, dodge roll, shoot, aim down sights, and if you get enough kills, you could do cool over-the-top finishing moves that just give you back some
this
health.
might be good.
The shooting itself
I think it
just
might be good.
never really
see.
feels great. You can get some satisfying headshots that work really well from a feedback standpoint. They pop. But otherwise, aiming and shooting is extremely dull, with aiming and targeting never really feeling quite right, even no matter how much I messed with the settings, and just endlessly dodge rolling and shooting got old really quick. Stuff explodes easily, there's a quick button to quickly shoot explosive barrels and stuff, and even if the main weapons are straightforward, they can cause some chaos, but that's about all I'll give it. The shooting and combat, you know, the main thing you do in the game, it just feels kind of outdated and odd. Finishers are also extremely glitchy, with animations not always matching up. You know, sometimes your character will do half of a finishing move on like the air. And a lot of those finisher instant kill things are insanely long. Like, I love an over-the-top, silly, stabbing, shooting John Wick animation as much as the next guy, maybe even more. But here, it's just ridiculous, and it actually breaks up the action in a way that I found kind of annoying. The other big issue for that is the enemy types and the behavior. Now, this for me personally has always kind of been a Saints Row issue depending on the game, but a lot of the enemies here just stand and
Just trying to
shoot
get it
out in the
perfect right
open,
now.
or
Just
just
trying to get it
mindlessly run at you.
perfect.
There are rankings now and armored enemies, and a few
Just
from
trying to get
certain
it
gangs
perfect.
have some cool attacks,
I
but I'd say the
am
vast
just about
majority of
that.
them are forgettable.
Trying to get it
There's a lot of
perfect.
just kind of genericness to them.
tweak.
And with no
Hopefully that's
cover button
good.
and really not much else to do other than just strafing left and right and shooting and using the abilities, which are sometimes cool, it still just all managed to feel really bland. It just adds up to it feeling like a chore. The game starts off strong and peppers in some cool sequences throughout it, but ultimately, I just found myself so bored. The progression and the upgrading, too, it isn't really too much to write home about. Through your in-game cell phone, yep, of course, you equip abilities and perks that you unlock as you go. There's active and passive stuff, so health bonuses, modifiers, cooler moves, and like I said, some of them can get pretty crazy, and all of them just kind of require you to spend a regenerating thing. You know, as much as sometimes they have the Saints
Oh, I
Row
want the
charm, like the
camera,
first one I
man.
still think is one of the better ones, where you just shove a
Video
grenade
capture
down the guy's pants and
device.
throw him. Overall, all of it like was never enough to get me
Properties.
excited
How I
about
want the
leveling up,
camera.
just kind of going through the motions. Now, the driving is probably the better of
It
these
shows
two
a
core
lot.
things. It's arcadey style, so it's
Oh,
easy
mine
and
more
fun, but it's also
centered.
floaty. There is a good but awkward drift button,
Okay.
but you know, driving just
What if
doesn't
I
feel
do
quite right
open
or
up
very
my
satisfying. Most car
knowledge
sounds are underwhelming, the feedback could be more satisfying, and because of the floatiness, the vehicles are often all over the place. Like, hit a small pebble off-road, or, you know, get hit by a pursuing car in the slightly wrong angle, your vehicle will just like go completely off the rails in unreasonable directions that kind of kill the fun and the momentum more than they should. It's not really a difficulty thing. There's a good amount of destruction and crashing through stuff, especially with nitrous with your cars, and lots of cool opportunities for jumps, but it all still misses way more than it hits. There's, at the very least, a real satisfying option to ram vehicles. That works fairly well and makes cars explode, and they actually look really impressive. A lot of the times, like, the cars explode and flip over, and the driver goes flying out of the car amidst all the fire and the metal parts and stuff, and that's nice, but otherwise, not super into the driving. And in a weird Just Cause influence, you can hop out of your car and shoot from the roof, where again, aiming doesn't feel quite right, but you can also jump to a wingsuit and glide around the environments. There are also points around the map to launch from too, but gliding around is quiet and slow and just kind of comes out of nowhere. You just have the ability, which is just another thing in the game's weird, unsatisfying progression system I mentioned earlier. Also, it's worth noting that the game is buggy. Most of my bugs and glitches were visual and didn't really impact gameplay or anything much. Just weird graphics things, animation things I mentioned earlier, some draw distance stuff. But I've spoken to other reviewers that have had bigger mission bugs and corrupted file issues. Now, please note the game will be getting a day one patch, to be fair, so it's hopeful to think that, you know, some of these issues will be fixed quickly, but overall, even with a quick patch, I mean, the game is just a messy feeling experience. The word jankiness I know is like a hackneyed phrase for reviewers at this point, but like there's a lot of janky parts. A lot of it just feels jacked up. Man, Saints Row just, like, the game really gets in the way of itself. It could have been a fun but simple, kind of dumb open world thing to turn off your brain, but it didn't even really get there, and I think it annoys more than it entertains. It's a game that tries to kind of satisfy all types of Saints Row fans. You know, those who preferred the earlier games and those who preferred the later ones, and ultimately comes up doing nothing, really. And I don't think it's gonna make many people happy. And me, like I said, as someone who's liked all of them and was open to a reboot, you know, a new Saints Row thing, I was left completely disappointed and hollow. One of the most exciting things I did feel from the game was hearing an Eric B. and Rakim song. Shout out to my old school hip hop people out there watching. It kind of actually reminded me of the original game back in the day that also had Eric B. and Rakim's I Ain't No Joke. You know, the fact that I'm digging into the soundtrack to find positive points should tell you enough. It might sound like I'm just complaining and whining on about this game. I know I look for the positives in games, but like I don't really recommend this at all. If you were really, really excited, I don't want to totally take the wind out of your sails. Maybe it's just me. This is, of course, a lot of personal opinion, but I think when you reboot something, it has to be totally fresh. Try something new, maybe even be better than the old games, and this new Saints Row didn't even feel like it tried. I'll admit, it's hard to stack up characters like against, like, you know, Johnny Gat, Shaundi, all those people, but damn, man, this one is a bummer. But of course, that's a before you buy. You know how this goes down by now. I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion, and now I want to hear yours down in the comments. I definitely just want to know where you're at with the Saints Row series, because I've talked to a bunch of different people that have come into the game for different things or fell in love with a different specific game, so I just want to know that. Let's talk about all the cool memories. If you are jumping into Saints Row, this new one, let me know what you think. If you heard what I had to say and heard I was disappointed but ultimately still wanted to give it a
I'm gonna try and play Doom right now. That's my thing. Before I get too crazy. Ugh, I'd like to charge this. That's an issue. Fuck. Think about that. Damn, that's an issue. I just need to buy a light, because my cell phone light does not work that well. I'm gonna try Doom out. I want to see how the audio is. I want to see how the lighting is. Seems like I will need my camera, yeah, what if I point it up? If I point it up, that'd be cool. I could like lift up and point down. The lighting is horrible. I feel like I definitely need a flashlight. Or if there's any kind of light, if I had a light here. Didn't even think about that. 10. Advanced, accept, yes. Advanced, we'll go medium, 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 high, medium. Accept. So let's go advanced, low, 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 medium, low, low. Low, 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 low. Low, 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 low. Hmm. Yo. Oh shit. Oh shit. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay. Check. Monaco Pure Leaf. Monaco's? Not sure what the desktop audio does, but I have it to 0. They have every font. That's so wild. I don't know why it's wild. It's just pretty good technology, but Cambria, bro. Cambria. Bold. What do I want you guys to see right now? I want you to see. Uh, Subscribe. Text format. Color. Red as fuck. Background color is fine. Outline. Chat box. Right there. Chat box. What if I type in chat? What happens? Live chat. Blah. But how does it pop up on to... Oh no. No. How does it pop up on the main screen? Blah. Blah. Help. So that's what they're seeing. How does live chat box properties clean box Twitch old school chunky? What's boxed? What's Twitch? Old school chunky. I kind of like boxed. Always show messages. Select visual settings, font settings, chatter, source. How to make chat show while I'm streaming.
Twitch and for
Yo. It's kind of helpful, but like not. Cause okay.
Quickly turn in-game overlay on and off.
Okay.
Inside the
Right, I'm
return
back.
to opacity in a moment. Next, we're going to create a hotkey to
No.
position them.
Go
Open
over
your
here.
settings, then select Game Overlay. Here you can choose if you want to see the chat or events window in the overlay. Toggle position mode allows you to position them to your liking. We will return to opacity in a moment. Next, we're going to create a hotkey so we can quickly turn in-game overlay on and off. Inside the hotkey settings, find Toggle in-game overlay. Click inside the box and then choose your hotkey. I'll be using F4. Also, set a hotkey for Toggle Overlay Position Mode. I will use F3. Now go back to the game overlay settings. Click your hotkey to toggle the overlay off and see if the opacity is where you want it.
F4.
Then click Done. Now you can toggle your chat on and off while playing and reposition it without leaving your game. A small tip here. Make sure that you're using game capture as your source and not screen capture, so that your chat overlay will not be shown in your stream.
I don't understand. I mean, that's where I would like it. Why is it just what happens with F4? Okay. So let's say we do this. And then yo 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 yo. Yo 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 yo. Yo 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 yo.
Actually, YouTube, believe it or not, has a place where you